Welcome to Monster Truck Challenge. Do we have a treat for you tonight? The 6 best monsters in the world have all qualified here in Tampa, but they've done it on a straight track. Nothing like they're going to race on tonight. For one, they're going to be under the lights. For another, they'll race in a horseshoe configuration. That's going to test not only the driver's ability, but his stamina and the rear steering ability of every one of these trucks. Now, the fast qualifier was barefoot, but all that means for Fred Schaefer is he gets lane choice on a track he hasn't seen yet today. Here's how they stack up in round 1. Fast qualifier barefoot takes on Bigfoot. Gravedigger's going to try and beat Equalizer to the finish line, and Taurus will battle it out with the Carolina Crusher. The stadium is packed with motorsports fans. They want action. They want Joe Lowe. Joe, bring us the call of round 1.
Thank you, Ken. Our first round matchup, an all-out foot matchup. The legendary Bigfoot, the truck that started it all, coming into the Tampa Stadium, and he's going against Fred Schaefer and Barefoot, a Chevy and Ford foot shootout, side by side to start this thing out. There's Andy Brass out of West Dalton, Missouri, driving Bob and Marilyn Chandler's Bigfoot. Going against him from just down the road, Pontoon Beach, Illinois, Fred Schaefer and Barefoot. Fred was the 1990 world champion, and he's trying to do it again in 1992. Bigfoot and Barefoot. And look at Bigfoot. He comes from behind. Now the turning's where it all is, and Barefoot has some problems. Bigfoot goes on to win it. He sails across the cars, and Fred Schaefer almost lost the truck. As he comes over, he lands very, very hard and just cannot steer. He's working. If you look up in the cockpit, you can see him working. Nothing seems to be going right for him. He almost flips the truck. Meanwhile, Andy Brass comes around and goes on to victory. We'll see if we can get back in the pits with Fred and see what happens in just a moment. Right now, the Equalizer, David Morris, out of Springfield, Tennessee. Smiling Dave, they call him, and he's got reason to smile. This truck's been running great. He goes up against the Gravedigger, and Barefoot being towed out in the background. We'll try to go back to the pits and see what's going on with him in a minute. Lyle Hancock pilots the Gravedigger out of Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Gravedigger and Equalizer are set and go. Gravedigger catching up to the Equalizer on the turn now. Oh, Digger spins around and he's dead. He goes dead right on the turn. Equalizer picks up the win. Wonder what happened to Lyle Hancock and the Gravedigger. The crowd seems to be happy with the Equalizer win, and this is a good chance to talk with Fred Schaefer.
Fred, what happened to you on the suspension? Ladder bar bracket broke and let the shocks get in the frame, tore the shocks up.
You know what it caused it?
Just landing hard on one side.
Did you anticipate anything like this?
No, I didn't. Going hard as I could.
What are you going to do now?
Fix it better. Make it better for the next time.
That's our Stan Rhodes with Fred Schaefer and David Morris. The Equalizer has a problem with his tire. They're going to try to stuff it with silicone-coated rag and get it ready for the next round of action. Concerned look on David's face right there. Can he get things going for round number 2? Meanwhile, back to the track. Here comes the reigning world champion, Jackie Willman and Taurus. Jackie out of Granite City, Illinois, and of course following in Dad's footsteps, Jack Willman Sr. starting the whole Taurus tradition. Up against him, Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter, the lone wolf on the tour out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. This is going to be an all-out race in Tampa. Taurus and Crusher off the line. It's Crusher with a hole shot. Taurus coming from behind this important turn. Gary Porter, where are you going? And Taurus makes it around. I'm not sure where. I think Gary headed out to the concession stand. Taurus gets the win. Gary Porter came off the line, went over the cars, and something happens to the front end right here. He looks like a T-baller hitting the ball and running to third. Out of the park.
Gary, what happened to you in the first turn?
Well, in qualifying this afternoon, I messed up some pinion bearings, and we run a pinion brakes, and I wasn't able to get everything fixed. So I'm just having to run with the front wheel brakes, and when I come off the cars, I hit the brakes, and I felt like one of the front wheels locked up, and the truck slid a little bit, and I just couldn't make the turn.
Can you fix it?
No, all I can do right now is just do the best I can with what I have tonight, you know, and try to win.
I like that. Now, I like it when they go straight and they hop over the cars, but I kind of like it when they make the turns. You see the driving ability of these guys come into focus a little bit more. So rough round one for Gravedigger and for Barefoot. Lyle Hancock and Fred Schaefer both making repairs. Fast loser Gary Porter has joined the winners in round two. And we'll have round two racing action coming up. Here's what's happened so far. Fast qualifier Barefoot and Gravedigger, they're out for the duration with mechanical problems. It means that Carolina Crusher stays alive as the fast loser from round one. He'll go up against the truck that beat him, Taurus, and the winner of that goes to the finals. The other round two race pits Equalizer against Bigfoot. Now pay attention to how the drivers handle the turn at the end of the track. If they go too deep, they lose valuable time. If they try to take it too tight, they'll risk oversteering and run off the course. You ready for round two? I know one guy who is, the voice of Monster Truck Challenge. Here's Joe Lowe.
Ken, we're going right now to Andy Brass.
We laid down a pretty good run. Fred had some troubles there on the cars, and I'm thinking tonight it's going to be a lot of who can get down there and land on the cars at the end and see which lane doesn't end up and develop a big hole and start pitching the trucks one way or the other.
How's the rear steering working for you?
Well, this is not working too bad. We went into this last corner. We was a little late on the steering, so we're going to have to pick that up just a little bit in the next round, try to hit it a little earlier. We watching replays there a little bit. I think I went a little bit too deep, so we're just going to have to pick up the pace a little bit and hit it a little earlier.
Andy's going up against David Morris. Let's go to David in the Equalizer with a tire update.
I had to borrow a spare tire from someone else because on the previous run I sliced a rear tire pretty bad, and I tried to plug it, but it still wouldn't hold air, so I had to borrow one.
Is this one going to make it?
I hope so. I hope I don't split it too. It's not mine.
Smiling Dave Morris in the Equalizer going up against Andy Brass and Bigfoot in Tampa. We're ready to go. Bigfoot with the lead as they both go into the turn. Equalizer around the turn first. And Bigfoot with a come from behind. And did he win it, or did I see something down on the turn? Now, the rules say that if you hit the pole, you're disqualified. And yes, it's true that Andy Brass and Bigfoot made it across the finish line first, but I think I saw him hit that pole. He comes down. Now, remember, he said he did not want to go as far around and turn out like he did the first time. He cuts it real close. Andy, yeah. He lost it right there, disqualified. He hit the pole, and Bigfoot is disqualified. The win goes to David Morris in the Equalizer. And you see that yellow tire on the rear. That's the borrowed tire. I wonder who that came from. Next up is Jackie Woman and Taurus going up against Gary Porter and the Crusher. Stan Rhodes is with Gary Porter.
Or maybe I won't come off the cars quite as fast and be on the brakes a little bit easier and just be, you know, a little bit more alert down there in the turn.
Seems like some people are having a little bit of problem in that first turn.
It is. The turn down there is sort of different from what we're used to running. We're going straight toward the pole, and we're having to go around it, and it's something different for us.
And I think everybody agrees the turn is the big consideration here in Tampa. Taurus and Carolina Crusher off the line, side by side. Taurus way out in front. He's got to negotiate that turn. He just stops. He just stops. Gary Porter has successfully completed the turn, and he's on his way to a championship race. And you got to wonder what happened to Taurus. Now, here's Gary Porter's run. This was a good one. He does have that rear steer dialed in. He goes around the turn, not too wide. Makes it around without a problem. And Taurus, you can see sitting down there all by himself. Gary pours it on, and he is in our final in Tampa. The crowd in the background loves it. And meanwhile, what happens to Taurus? Here it is. He comes out, he's ahead, and I don't know, the rear steer just didn't kick in or something. He decided to just stop the whole thing right there and then. Here's Jackie.
Jack, what happened to you down there at that first turn?
Totally driver's error.
got 2 switches on the floor that steer the rear wheels, and I hit the wrong one and turned the wrong way, and just a driver error.
No recovery.
No recovery. I tried, but ain't enough time.
Going to try and make some sort of modification so it doesn't happen in the future?
It's just, there's some things that could be done there, but it's just mainly my fault. Getting too excited and just overdid it.
Did David Morris dodge a bullet or what? I mean, when Brass took that turn the wrong, well, you saw what happened. The bottom line is, okay, now to the case of the borrowed tire. Who do you think lent it to the equalizer? Joe Lowe may have a clue. He's trackside with all the play-by-play. Joe?
We're set for the finals in Tampa. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, digging in. And talk about digging. This guy had to dig and claw his way to the championship race tonight. Gary Porter out of Wadesboro, North Carolina, came from behind, and he is right here against David Morris in the equalizer. Now, remember, David had a tire problem earlier, but he's here. So these 2 guys, what is going on here? David Morris, where are you going? Gary Porter's sitting at the line. He's going, what's going on? And David Morris is running the race. David Morris, he thinks he just won it. And there was all sorts of confusion on the starting line. The guy in David's lane, the equalizer lane, is saying ready to go. The guy in Gary Porter's lane is saying come on up. The starter starts. You don't blame David Morris. He says, oh, green light, let's go. Meanwhile, Gary Porter's just sitting there. And because of the problems with the starters, they're going to run it all over one more time. This time they both get the green light. David Morris, the equalizer. Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. The turn is where it's going to happen. Gary Porter gets hung up. David Morris executes the turn perfectly, and he goes on for the win. What a great job of driving. David Morris, the equalizer. Here's where it was won on the turn. David does this turn exactly like it should be done. If you were going to write a how-to manual, that's the way to make that turn. Gary Porter went too wide. It was too late for him. The win from Springfield, Tennessee, the equalizer and David Morris. Meanwhile, let's take a look at Gary Porter's run. He is having an excellent run. He's doing well. He's overcome problems to be here in the final. It's on this turn. He goes way wide. Meanwhile, hey, equalizer's already going home, and he's still halfway through the turn. The equalizer right into the winner's circle. And let's go down to the track now and find out from Gary Porter what happened on that run.
Oh, well, really nothing went right. And I, start off in qualifying. We tore up some parts. Then the first round, something happened to my rear steering, or I didn't turn it, one of the two. And then I come back as a fast loser. Taurus messed up, when I was able to make it to the finals, and in that final run there, I didn't make the turn like I should have, and it just wasn't my day, but we'll be back.
Well, that was a tremendous win for you.
Yeah, I've been struggling here all night just trying to stay in the races. First of all, I had that tire that I cut up, and then I lost to Bigfoot, but luckily he hit a barrier, so I got to come back. And if it wasn't for the Carolina Crusher, even though I had to race him in the finals and win, but he let me borrow a spare tire from him to take the win, so I guess he won't let me borrow any more tires.
So did your spare tire help Dave win this one?
Yeah, he busted a tire in the first round, and I had a spare with tire and wheel out there in the trailer, and I let him borrow it and ended up in the finals with me.
So part of you won.
That's right.
And there's a big handshake. David Morris and Gary Porter. David in the winner's circle because of a borrowed tire he got from Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. Now, those of you who go to U.S. Hot Rod Association shows, and those of you who are regular viewers of Monster Truck Challenge, know a straight line course is the way these guys are used to running, and Gary Porter's among the best. But they're starting to put more and more turning courses in on the U.S. Hot Rod Association shows, and this is where Gary Porter has to do some homework and has to practice. You can see how the tires are turned. This is forcing him outward. He's got to turn a lot wider than the equalizer.
He needs to get the full use of that rear steer and make a much tighter turn to be competitive on these turning courses. And I'm sure we're going to see Gary overcome that problem and probably do a lot of practicing in the weeks to come. The next turning course should show things a whole lot different. So the epitaph for tonight's show, win it on borrowed tires.